What's up?
Infinity Voodoo.
What's up, buddy? How you doing today?
Hey, we're hanging in there.
Yeah?
We survived it. We had some bad wind here. Had some bad wind. Took down some banana limbs. I had to go trim the bananas.
Yeah? What you kind of,
We survived Hell's Gate and did a trifecta last night. Went to 3 different cemeteries last night.
it was definitely a long night.
Yes.
All right, ready to kick things off here? So what was that?
Got some. I said you got some paranormal news this week for us.
Yeah, what was that? What was that video we just watched? What happened there? We'll check it out again.
He is swiftly yanked to the ground by an unseen force, knocking him unconscious from the impact. Minutes later, he regains consciousness and quickly grabs his belongings to leave the place. With the events of this and his previous visit, viewers are convinced that something sinister resides in the warehouse. Whether it's a malicious entity or something else, the question remains, did Chris capture evidence of paranormal activity? While it's hard to say for sure what happened, one thing is certain, Chris is never returning to this place again.
So what kind of happened there?
Ass. For sure. He just went flying.
I don't know. It was weird. All right. Here we go. You ready?
Ready?
In this video, a lady spots a reddish, brownish Sasquatch while outside with her daughter, then instantly signals for her to go in. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Oh, come on inside! Hurry!
I don't really know about that. You there, buddy?
I'm here.
You're freezing out
I'm
really
here.
bad. You're behind everything about probably 20 seconds.
I don't know if I ever saw a red Sasquatch before. Like, I think that's like a yowie down in Australia is like that.
Yeah, it definitely looks kind of weird. I think we got to get some technical difficulties worked out. You're pretty lagging out pretty bad. Hold on, I'm gonna send you one. Sorry about that, everybody. We'll get it all together here. Just gonna make a minor change real fast.
Blame it on Spectrum Internet.
All right, I sent you in so we can switch over your phone. So everybody, we'll kind of get things together and stuff like that. While that's going, there was a longer video and stuff that Phil wanted everybody to kind of see and stuff like that. So we're gonna play that so he can get adjusted and get everything fixed and going.
I'd like to talk about some of your other remote viewings. Now, one in particular I'd like to discuss is you were tasked with remote viewing Mars, from what I understand. And the time period, I believe, was 1 million BC.
Yeah, 1 million BC.
Who was that directed by?
Well, when it was tasked, I was sleeping in the industrial cube, the sealed cube in Bob Monroe's lab at the Monroe Institute, because we had been working on going out of body and controlling it. And I was exhausted. So we've been working, this was Sunday, I think. And he woke me up and I said, yeah, I'm awake. What's going on? He said, well, I have some people here from Department of the Army, and they have a target for you. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? He said, well, he said, I have an envelope here. There's nothing written on it. It's in my pocket. Tell me something about it. So it started out with a really large pyramid. And I said, first thing, words out of my mouth was, this must be a new discovery. And he said, why do you say that? And I said, because it's huge. It's bigger than the Pyramid of Giza. Must be a new discovery somewhere. And then he said, well, tell me something about it. That's what I want to know. And so I said, it's got really large rooms inside. It's kind of surprising because the way pyramids are built, that can't be done. You can't have large rooms inside because of the weight of the construction. So it must be some new form of construction. So are you sure this is not a new discovery? And he said, just tell me what I need to know. So I said, well, it appears to be some form of protection of survivors of some cataclysm. And they're in stasis. They're waiting for somebody to come. I said, but I think it's too late. I think they're all dead. And he said, why do you say that? And I said, because I feel like the messages I'm getting are like leftover mental images, things that they pass differently from normal or something like that. So he asked me some other questions. He moved me around in the target, asked me some other questions and things. And it turned out there were 6 specific targets that I was given in that particular case. And all 6 of them I described exactly what was standing there. And when I say that, I mean what was also pictured in negatives by JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, California. And so I finally said, it's like a special race of people or something. I'm getting human.
There you go, buddy. You good? Good? You hear me, everything?
Can you see me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, looks a lot clearer there, buddy. All right, we'll dive back in. We'll kind of kick off. Sorry about all those good times. So go ahead. So look, you was trying to talk about that the Bigfoot video, the big red encounter video. So what was your kind of thoughts on that one?
I've never seen a red-haired Bigfoot like that. The only one that I know is red-haired like that's the Yowie down in Australia.
Yeah, it looked a little too clean to be a Bigfoot. You know what I mean? The fur looked too clean.
Pretty bushy.
It looked well groomed. It didn't look natty and stuff like that, like you would expect something living out in the woods. So, all right, let's check this out right here.
It's supposed to be a massive deep sea creature, but I'm thinking it might be a tarp.
It's a giant tarp down in the ocean.
Yeah, it's just floating around. Yeah,
Or maybe it's some kind of liquid or something coming off of the oil rig or something that's kind of staying together.
like a heavy canvas tarp, and it's just like floating around down there. And
Yeah, I'd say it didn't kind of look like no sea creature. All right, so look, why don't you kind of talk about what we got going on tonight, a little bit later tonight?
We've got two guests coming on later tonight. We've got one lady is trying to get in touch with her starseed family, and now she has a gray alien showing up, bothering her, and she wants to talk to us about it tonight. We're trying to figure out how to help her because she's dealing with alien, and we're like, we don't know if we're going to be able to see this thing or how to help her. And we have another lady that's been on TikTok for about a year, and she's got some entities that have been harassing her and day and night, and she's just not getting any relief, and she's trying to get help. And she's had clergy come in, she's had paranormal teams come in, and she's tried praying. They've tried all kind of deliverance prayers, exorcisms, and these things will not leave. So she's kind of at the end of her rope. And I've got one of our team members, Leslie, coming in later. She's in tune spiritually. She's a Reiki too, and she communicates with things that we can't see or hear. She's kind of a medium. She's actively communicates with what she believes are extraterrestrials and also spirits and entities. So we're going to have her on. Maybe she can get some insight, and because she's experienced some of what they're experiencing, so maybe she can help them.
So we'll have some different videos of just some things kind of going on and stuff like that, but definitely focused everything tonight really just on extraterrestrial encounters, communicating with them, stuff like that. Of course, I've never got that privilege to do that. Would definitely love that. I know Phil, looking every day, would be super awesome.
The main thing is we're trying to raise awareness. People think there's, doing something fun on TikTok, like summoning their starseed family, and then next thing you know, they've got a problem. So I don't know if they explain all the dangers of trying to summon things, what can happen. So we got these two ladies on tonight, and it's very real to them. It's very personal to them. So hopefully the comments will be respectful, and we'll try to see if we can get these ladies some help or a direction to go.
That'd definitely be fun. Look, talking about some UFOs. Let's check out some UFO stuff that we got here.
You better strap in, folks, because the biggest UFO sighting since the Phoenix Lights just happened. Last night on August 17th in Palmdale, California and Lancaster, California, basically the entire town saw a bunch of crazy stuff happening in the sky. And this isn't some like, oh, we saw some new government planes. No, this is crazy. Not only did the entire town witness this, but the police department was called over and over again to investigate it. And finally, in one of these situations, the people actually took their phones out and recorded all of it. And finally, these videos are nuts!
Bro, what the fuck? What? Why isn't my phone focusing? What is happening right now? Where is it going? It's landing.
Whoa! See, I thought that one might be CGI until I found out that there are a bunch of people who recorded the same UFO falling. This guy saw a bunch of them. As you can see, towards the end of that video, we get another angle of the same exact lights falling down like that. Usually videos like that are easy to write off, but not this one. This one has multiple angles, and guess what? There's a third one.
Holy shit! What the hell is that?
What is happening? You guys see this? Oh my god, what the fuck is happening? What is that? What is that?
Something tells me these aren't the last videos that we're going to be seeing, as people have come out saying their Ring cameras also captured some footage. So even though the world's going crazy, find some time to keep your eyes in the sky, because you'll never know what you might find.
Now it looked like all of them were in a straight line, right?
That's the latest mass UFO sighting that just hit the airwaves.
But every one of those, right, were just in a straight line, right? Lights in a straight line.
You're thinking Starlink could be
I mean,
Starlink because they're like in a straight line.
right. It would make sense. That's exactly what Starlink kind of looks like when we saw it when it was at its closest point at the fall last year. And it was a big deal. Everybody was kind of looking at it and seeing it that close. I mean, that's exactly what it looked like, right?
I haven't seen Starlink yet, but I would like to. Every time I go out to see it, it's been cloudy.
Yeah. Well, it did look closer because Starlink does look kind of further out, right? The lights on it don't look as big, so those definitely look bigger in those videos. And then it kind of falls into it's hard to think that it's hoaxing or people's making it up, especially when it's multiple different people, multiple different angles, multiple different cameras. Kind of wild, but I mean, you got everyone out there saying that UFOs are real and stuff. Even the government's releasing videos and stuff now and saying that extraterrestrial space travel and all that's all been true and stuff like that. So I guess I'm ready for like the next level. Like when are we getting some actual real interaction that we can see?
The one lady tonight got more than she bargained for, I think, when she summoned these things up.
So you're saying like summoning, so summoning aliens, or are we summoning something else that kind of thinks,
Aliens. It's called your star seed family. You're supposed to look up in the sky and whatever constellation you feel attracted to, like Pleiades or Andromeda or whatever. That's where you feel like that's where you're from, and then they got this whole thing. You summon and you say all this stuff, and boom, they show up.
I don't know if I like that. Anytime I ever look up and I'm trying to look for them, different constellation stuff, all I can ever see is the Little Dipper. So what does that say about me?
Yeah, I saw Orion last night laying on his side coming home, but that's an easy one to see. And Big Dipper is another easy one. That big W in the north sky, and then until it rotates and it's an M. And then the little Baby Dipper, that was kind of hard to see. But the planets, they're a little easier. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. It's like a mass thing all over the world. People are trying to get in touch with their starseed family, and next thing you know, some of them are getting communication. And,
okay, so what is the process of doing that? Like, how do we do this?
Well, there's a couple videos on here later about that. I don't know how detailed they go into. I did watch them, but there's like a whole procedure.
Well, see, I saw one earlier on the list here where it said something about starseed and stuff like that, but now I don't see it on the list. Like we got like the real life communications and stuff like that, and talk communicates with aliens and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's right below that. If you go to the top of the list, that's where I put those on there for our paranormal news. There's a gentleman that's talking to an actual alien toward the end of it. He's like a scientist. And then there's about 3 videos before that talk about the starseed family and aliens.
Well, let's check it out. Since we're talking about it, let's kind of see what that's about.
Next question is from Laura. How can we make contact with our star family?
You are making in one now. That vibration will be explored into more resonances in your consciousness because you are allowing the frequency to penetrate your structure. Once this occurs and reaches certain velocity in your conscious vibration, so shall the portals for contact in numerous ways will occur. Next question, please.
She was kind of creepy.
Yeah, and that's kind of what's happening. They're advising people to do that, and then
so it's kind of dumb it down for us. Give me the dummy steps.
You look up in the sky, you figure out what constellation you think you're from, and you ask to meet your starseed family, and then it may or may not work. But there's another video that has a lot more detail. I think it's the one that looks like a bunch of stars and stuff swirling around. I've never done it. That's something kind of new to me, a new concept. When the lady called, she's like, I got an alien talking to me. And I'm like, okay. And then we're like, okay, I think it might be best to have you on our show so then more people can see what's going on and try to get a panel and we can ask questions, try to understand what is she really dealing with. Because it's not something that you see or hear of every day. It's not like you can walk out and there's an alien at McDonald's, you know what I mean? It's like what she's dealing with is on a whole nother dimensional level.
Well, I think one of the problems is that you have with that. I mean, I'm sure it probably scares a lot of people because all you hear, you see all the stories, the abduction stories, movies, Hollywood. So it's going to kind of make it that kind of aspect. I mean, look at like the Travis Walton story and stuff like that. What he says that he went through on his abduction and stuff, that's pretty scary stuff.
What I think's going on is people are summoning these things. It may or may not be an alien, but when it does show up, they're not completely opened up or understand how to communicate with it. When I talked to Leslie, the way she explained it was this thing might just be talking away and it's scaring the lady because she don't understand what it's saying. Her mind isn't telepathically opened up to it yet. Maybe that's a learning curve, or that's kind of what she was thinking was going on. But if an alien shows up and he's speaking some weird language, but when I talked to her, she said she couldn't hear it say anything. It just shows up. It's like she's seeing it, but it's not saying anything. So in that context, we'll have her on a little bit later. Maybe we'll be able to ask more questions and get more detail.
Yeah, well, here's another kind of how-to.
That's pretty wild. The lady was got to open up your third eye. I don't know how to do that, but apparently that has something to do with the summoning of the starseed family and the aliens will communicate somehow. I've heard of the all-seeing eye and the third eye, and I've heard of people. I know a guy who's legally blind, and he said he sees spirits with his third eye, but he'll stand there and talk to you, and he's got the stick and everything to navigate with. He can't see hardly his hand in front of his head, but he can go into a house and see spirits, and he says he's using that third eye. Have you ever heard of that, the third eye?
I haven't heard into trying to use it.
Apparently the third eye has a lot to do with this whole alien starseed thing.
Would definitely be neat and stuff like that. So I don't want to jump around too much since we are going to do a lot of UFO stuff a little bit later and stuff like that. Look, I'm going to show this clip. I found it earlier, and it's introducing something we really haven't talked about on here, but has always been kind of fun to me. I like reading about it and stuff like this. Check this out.
Wait, if Wendigos aren't the same thing as a skinwalker, then what is it?
It's this terrifying creature from Algonquian Native American legend. They say it devours human flesh to survive those harsh winters. The Algonquians, they were one of the most extensive and numerous Native American groups in North America. They used to live along the Atlantic coast and around the Great Lakes region. And get this, the word Wendigo actually means the evil spirit that devours mankind. Creepy, huh? So the story goes that the first ever Wendigo was once a lost hunter. Imagine this, a brutally cold winter. The guy's starving, and his intense hunger drives him to cannibalism. After he feasts on another human's flesh, he transforms into this crazed man-beast, roaming the forest looking for more people to eat. And then there's another version of the story. It's about a warrior who made a deal with the devil. To save his tribe, he gave up his soul and was transformed into a Wendigo. But when peace came, there was no need for such a fearsome creature anymore. So he was banished from his tribe and forced to live as an outcast. Now, Wendigos are described as giants, like 14.8 to 15 feet tall. There are some slight variations in their physical description among the different Algonquian peoples, but generally they have these glowing eyes, long yellowed fangs, and long tongues. Most are said to have sallow and yellowish skin, though some say they're matted with hair or have decaying skin. Oh, and it's also been said that they have large, sharp claws and massive eyes like an owl. Some people even describe the Wendigo as this skeleton-like figure with ash-toned skin.
And a lot of stuff that crosses in with that Wendigo stuff is your skinwalkers and stuff like that. They say that Wendigos
like a tree root man, like Groot.
It's pretty neat. Is if you look into a lot of videos about Wendigos, same thing as skinwalkers too. It's pretty neat. These people that claim they have videos of them and stuff like that, or eyewitness stuff. It always has the same kind of scream. Which is pretty neat that this same scream is on multiple different videos and stuff like that. I mean, could you found it? I mean, I guess you could find it, soundbite it, mix it in with a video. If you're really invested and really want to do it and go that far. But definitely want to look more into that. I'm more into like the cryptids and stuff like that.
Is it like a bobcat screaming, or more like an Aztec death whistle, or a hoot owl, or
kind of like your whistle kind of sound and stuff like that? The thing I would compare it to most is a banshee. Where you see like these banshee screams and stuff like that is what I would really kind of mix it to and stuff like that. I'll pull some of the sound bites and stuff, and we'll play those one night. I'll send them to you so you check them out, but they're pretty neat.
But we might have to break out the old Aztec death whistle for that episode.
Yeah. So it seems like your Wendigo, your skinwalkers, all that stuff, all definitely circles around Native Americans.
Yeah, they're very in tune with nature and the earth, and they've got a lot of beliefs in the spirits and spirit animals, and it kind of makes sense that they would make a deal with their soul if their tribe is in jeopardy and they're trying to fight for their tribe and they're desperate to save them. I could see a warrior doing what he's got to do.
Doing what he's got to do.
They had these special elite forces back in the day. The Indian had a sash, and he would stake it to the ground, and he had to either fight to the death or he had to defeat enough other warriors. And then it had to be one of his other fellow special forces guy to come and unstake him. He literally stakes himself to the ground. He can't move from that spot, and he fights to the death. He takes them all on. And he makes his stand, and then they're like the death warrior. They'll fight to the death, and then if they kill everybody or kill enough of them, then one of their other buddies got to come and pull the stake. They can't pull the stake themselves. That would be dishonor. So another warrior has to pull the stake, or they kill everybody and pull their own stake, or they find him laying there dead, still staked. It's basically you're making a pact, your death pact. So I could see them, going to the next step if they have to keep fighting with the turn into the Wendigo. Come on.
Absolutely. Let's jump into this one, stuff like that. I love a nice little creepy video and stuff. Let's see what we got right here.
Unsettling, it's the events of the following night that truly disturb him. Anticipating a repeat of the previous night's incident, he sits on his bed, recording the door at around the same time it had opened before. Patiently waiting, he captures another unexplainable event.
I got bad posture. Let me fix that. Am I hearing things? Fun. Fun.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah. That's a door opening to shake things up in the middle of the night.
We've had some weird stuff happen to doors. We've had doors open, we've had them closed, and we had one that wasn't sticking at all, and checked it out. Everything was fine. And then two of our investigators got over there, couldn't get it open. It took two of them to open it, two grown men, and they said it felt like something was pushing back against them, and they actually finally got it open. But, they actually felt like something was on the other side of the door. And then we went over there later, checked it. The door was fine. So we're like, okay, what just happened? And we could not explain that. Two grown men trying to push open a door that the door don't even lock. It's just an interior door. It was just really bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, I saw this video. I saw you put this video on here and stuff like that, which is about the glasses, which is awesome. Talks about the They Live movie, which is a fantastic, super fun movie.
The closest thing I've ever done is had polarized fishing sunglasses on of a night. One time I forgot my glasses and I had to wear them prescription polarized sunglasses. And you see some weird stuff with them on of a night. So I could see how that would work. But originally the guy spilled like oil or something on the lenses and it made some kind of weird reaction. And he started seeing like auras and stuff. So they've got a modern version of these glasses you can get. I got a friend in Texas. He's just ordered a set, and he's supposed to let me know how they work out. Maybe we'll get a set for our team. But it's very interesting. You see a whole lot of different stuff with these glasses on than what you would normally see. I don't know if anybody's ever used regular sunglasses versus polarized, but when you look down in the water, when you're out in a boat or whatever, the polarized lenses, you can see down in the water a lot further. You can see fish and all kind of stuff that you can't normally see. So I could see using it for paranormal. It could open up some different things that we're not used to seeing. So any kind of tool we can use, I'm down.
All right, let's check this out.
You won't believe what I found. Give me some volume on this. Keep watching.
You remember the movie They Live? When he puts on glasses, he can see the aliens in the crowd that normally without the glasses just look like normal humans. Some say this movie was actually based on the events of Dicenian glass. You won't believe what's behind the story of these weird-looking blue goggles. And this is a subject which has the least amount of search results on Google that I've ever seen for any other theory or conspiracy. So in the early 1900s, a guy named Walter Kilner, who you can't even find a picture of him on Google, developed a sort of dye from coal tar. So he took this collodion-coated dye-treated glass plates and put Dicenian dye, that's the thing from the coal tar, in the middle of this glass. And the story goes that with these glasses, you can see outside of the normal range of visible light. All of a sudden your eyeballs can detect different wavelengths and frequencies of light. And it's said to have enabled the user to see people's auras. And you could see how strong or how weak someone's aura is, which is the electromagnetic field that we all emanate, at least normal humans do. But where this gets a little crazy, it's said that Walter Kilner, when he wore these glasses in public, not everyone had an aura. Not just a weak aura, but no aura at all. You remember the movie They Live? When he puts on glasses and he can see the aliens in the crowd that normally without the glasses just look like normal humans? Some say this movie was actually based on the events of Dicenian glass. And then of course Walter's place gets raided and all of his equipment confiscated, and this gets totally buried and no one knows anything about it to this day, except for a couple stories floating around the internet. So I'm gonna try to get some Dicenium and make my own Dicenium glasses, and I'll see ya and see if you're real.
Definitely need some alien glasses.
Yeah, we gotta find some coal tar, rub on there, and make our own.
All right. All right. Check it out.
This man talked to a real-life alien and got it all on camera.
In a leaked video that emerged on the internet, an alleged encounter between a man and an extraterrestrial being took place at an undisclosed location within a secret base in the United States.
This has got to be the realest footage I've ever seen before.
During the nighttime,
the realest
due
looking.
To the video's quality, the specific surroundings remain unidentified. It is believed that this encounter took place in 2017, although no official confirmation from the government has been provided. The video begins with a man standing a short distance away from what appears to be an extraterrestrial being, commonly referred to as a gray. Both individuals face each other and maintain eye contact for several moments. The extraterrestrial's physical features resemble typical depictions of grays: a hairless, pale grayish skin tone, large dark eyes, and a slight frame. The man remains calm throughout the encounter, showing no signs of distress or fear. Their interaction appears to be nonverbal, as no audible communication is captured in the leaked video. Despite this, their body language seems engaged and focused. The man and the extraterrestrial being exchange glances, perhaps attempting to convey meaning or understanding to one another. It is worth noting that any interpretation of their interaction remains speculative due to the lack of context provided. After a brief period of visual engagement, the man and the extraterrestrial reach out and...
If this isn't real, this is some of the best CGI I've ever seen. Let me know what you think in the comments and stay weird.
So the Greys.
He even looked like he even looked like an older gray gentleman there, alien feller.
Well, did you ever see it was an interesting video that they'd put out, and it was showing what you would picture to be a gray alien now that we would see now, but what it was saying was it was actually us from the future. Like that's what we evolved to.
Like through
it's the way that the harsh climates and stuff and war and everything that goes on and stuff like that, and that this being or whatever he was, came back in time to show us what we are evolving to and what we are going to become because of what we're doing to our own planet in today's time.
So the image that we were seeing is more of the environmental effects on the future of the planet.
Definitely is kind of crazy. So look, we are creeping up on time here. So we're going to bring on our first guest stuff here in a few minutes and stuff. Phil, why don't you do kind of a little introduction, then we will bring her in.
Okay, we got Leslie Owens, and she's actually one of our team members, goes on paranormal investigations with us, and probably going to be going on some other stuff, doing with our cryptids and hopefully helping out with some of this UFOs and alien stuff. We're supernatural. We're not just paranormal. We investigate just about anything that's weird. And she's, I guess the closest thing we'd describe her be kind of like a medium, like a psychic type medium, and maybe clairvoyant a little bit. But she hears things talking to her, people that she personally knows have passed away, communicate with her. She's been communicating off and on with some extraterrestrials. She's seen different types. They speak to her. I don't know that she's been harmed. I believe she's been abducted a couple times and had some experiences, but I think she's learned how to cope with it. So she's been dealing with this long enough. She's developed her own coping mechanism. But like when you first become in tune with psychic type things and stuff starts talking to you, it could be pretty scary and freak people out. So uh, she's usually pretty calm and relaxed about it because it's just kind of matter of fact that it's like an everyday way of life for her. So people that aren't used to that, it seems kind of strange. Or if it's something that started happening to you personally, you might be pretty freaky at first. So hopefully she can maybe help us all understand what's going on with these ladies, and maybe we can get some insight and try to raise awareness, and maybe come up with a plan moving forward. What we can do to help people in this situation.
All right, let's bring her on. Hello, Leslie.
Hey, I'm ringing.
Yeah, you're good.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
We're doing all right.
Getting ready to strike up these conversations and stuff. And anybody watching too, if you guys have any question or anything, feel free to ask. You had a question for Leslie, ask. Pretty much what we're trying to do is we want questions, we want good conversations, we want good opinions flying and stuff on everything going on. All right, so I know Leslie, we had you on the show before, and we got to kind of talk about things you experienced and things that you currently experience and stuff like that. Why don't you give us just a little insight on that for anybody that may have missed that or may not kind of know kind of what's going on?
Okay. In 2019, I was engaged to Carson Kroger, and we lived here in my house. And he died in a car wreck. And after about 6 months, I started experiencing all kinds of different paranormal activity, and just really didn't know, like it wasn't just an obvious like, oh, that's the ghost of Carson. It was more erratic and crazy, and like little things moving everywhere, just and me being able to do things that I couldn't do before, and all kinds of cool stuff, and hear things, you know, that I couldn't hear before. And I had like a few paranormal experiences before, like years before, but not anything that happened to me all the time or anything that I thought anything much of. Um, so after a while, after the first, well, at first I was scared at first because I didn't know what was really all going on with it. Even though I did feel like Carson did have something to do with it, I was still scared because I mean I even heard, like, I would hear from the Undertakers, like Osiris and Lucifer and people like that, and that was really scary. Like I was scared of the devil. Like I was real scared of the devil. And he told me one time that if the devil keeps popping up for you, then he must have a part to play in yours and Carson's death.
That would be pretty scary.
Yeah. I got trained in Reiki. That helped me. And I learned a lot about how to use like crystals and different oils and stuff to protect my house and stuff, and to do different prayers and stuff, and just all kinds of different things. I do light candles and stuff, and I like. Um, and now after a couple years, I didn't, and I wasn't really scared of it anymore. I can talk to Carson anytime now. I do feel like there have been some negative things that happen with us too. It's not been all positive. There's some jealousies, because I do think there's some, it can't all be roses. It can't all be, all positive things for us. But that but it I do feel a good connection with him, like with his real soul. That I do feel like he's able to be here with me, and it's not harmful for him, to be here like that. And other things can and go, or can communicate with me as they please. Like they don't have to physically be. They don't necessarily see my house. Like when they're communicating with me, they say. Like that's something that I've learned from them. That they don't have, like they don't see my house necessarily. Some of them do. Some of them do, and some of them don't see my house when they're talking to me. So it's different types of entities, I guess.
I think that's what these other ladies are dealing with. Like the one lady, Sherry, she's the one that tried to summon her starseed family. She's the one that has a gray alien that keeps showing up in her life, and it's scaring her. And the other lady, Nikki, she's got some kind of entities that she isn't for sure what it is that just been harassing her for like almost like a year now. That I believe pretty close, coming up on November is when I first started following her story, and she's moved out of the house. She's moved to a different place. These things harass her day and night, and like I said, she's had clergy come in. She's tried to pray in the name of Jesus, but usually stuff leaves you alone when you do that. And whatever this thing is, nothing has helped with getting them to go away. They're just constantly there. And she's even published some of her medical reports and whatnot. She's been to the doctor. Basically, they're saying that she's not mentally crazy, anything like that. And they're saying like she probably just needs some sleep or whatever. Like, I mean, it was all doctored out, but basically she's saying, look, I'm not crazy. These things are harassing me every day, and I just want it to stop. And so that's why we wanted to raise awareness. Maybe some of our viewers or Leslie, we can try to help.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think, as far as that the first one, I think she probably just is gonna have to learn how to communicate with that individual in some way. And that could be exciting, really. I mean, and
So
she has.
what's before we bring Nikki on and stuff, what's some of the things that's happened with you and stuff with the extraterrestrial side, and what kind of things is going on there? Do you know, like she said she's getting visited by a gray. So what would be some infos about the extraterrestrial stuff that you've communicated with, that you have constant communication with?
They hide a lot. Like, here's the thing. Like, they hide themselves. Like, Carson is a man to me. Like, he's a man that's interested in like dating me. So, like, he is self-conscious about the way he looks, and I'm a human, and he is an alien. Like, so he is like, he hides himself a little bit. Like, that's the thing that he's gonna have to overcome. Like, he's gonna have to overcome that, and I think it's gonna benefit our team as well. Like, they're gonna have to do that. Like, that's gonna have to happen. Somebody's gonna have to emerge in the public here because it is happening. Like, it is happening. So. But the lizard people, they talk about the lizard people a lot.
Who talks about them?
That name gets thrown around here a lot. That name, lizard people, gets thrown around here a lot. And I've heard like that kind of voices, that type of voices in the past too. I've heard some species voice, and I would have to say it's got to be some kind of angelic species. That's voices were like the sound of a a frequency or something. It sounds like a song almost. It was so like it made me cry. Like it was so beautiful. Like it made me cry. Like just to hear it talk. Like I couldn't even listen to what it was saying because it was so pretty to just hear it talk.
Right, and what they say, like the lizard people, is, just in case anybody's not really aware, is it's a branch of aliens and stuff that actually wants to infiltrate us, doing it through public figures, celebrities, influential members and stuff like that, to try to work their way into the system, and lead us to, I guess, what, personal propaganda out of them.
Have you dealt with any grays yourself personally, Leslie?
Well, like one night I did see like outside my house two of what looked like that alien to me. And like I was a little bit afraid of them, and they seemed a little bit afraid to approach me too, like in and so there wasn't really that close. That was really all. They probably abducted me, and I have no idea what else happened. Is what really happened, but I don't know. But I don't remember anything else happening. Like I don't remember really coming up close to them or talking to them any closer than just seeing them right there. Um, but one night, also in here, somebody said, like, just a voice came through my head and was like, "Hey, Leslie, what's up? This is Carson and Leslie from the Gray Universe." So that was cool.
Don't be surprised if we have more technical difficulties. I know Nikki does a lot of lives, and these things mess with her equipment. Like, they'll block out her face and block out her screen and audio, and it that's one of the things that she says happens a lot to her. They just try to influence every aspect of her life. They try to tell her stuff that's going to happen, and then sometimes it does happen. And I know one of the things that happens is technical issues for sure.
Why do you think we get technical issues there? Like,
I think they're trying to manipulate things in our life, and other things would be they're drawing our energy. So, like when you're out in a cemetery and your battery dies on equipment, and then you take a picture, and then there might be something there that wasn't there before. They're trying to get enough energy to let you know they're there, or move something, or manifest, or I've been to places where I had all brand new batteries, and like in less than 5 minutes, I go through 5 brand new batteries before it would start. I mean, they just drain them like instantly, and then I'd pop another one in and then drain it, and I start checking my equipment and everything's fine, and then I'll walk outside and the battery comes back to full power. I've had that happen before too. Can't really explain it. Or I'll be in the upstairs of a house, battery drains. I'll go downstairs and it comes back up. So I've had to push my power button. Like, I'll be holding the equipment on the bottom of the screen with both hands, and the power button's on the top, and they'll shut it off. And the freaky thing I had one time, like, I have a tablet, you know how you swipe with your finger? I'm holding it with both hands, and I'm watching something swipe my screen in the dark. Well, that was pretty cool. I still can't explain that one. It's like he was going through the windows. Something was. I don't know, they may just be messing with us, Might be their entertainment.
Yeah. Well, while we're still kind of getting things squared away and stuff like that, and still talking, look, we got a couple more videos, so we'll watch this. We can kind of get Leslie's outtake on those too, as we're working everything out and getting Nikki kind of going, okay?
Yes, sir.
You travel around the world in the same 33rd degree parallel, you'll find other monolithic type structures that appear to have been used not just for what's there now, temples, but actually when you lift up the temples and look underneath them, you find megalithic structures like Baalbek, the stones of Baalbek that have been raised up several hundred feet and put into place. According to ancient texts, it appears that those were actually landing places for spaceships. They used to take off, and if you're in a spaceship, you need something to push off on, and it appears to be that those stones could have been something for that.
Now this is at least 1,200 tons, and recent excavations show that there are possibly larger ones underneath it.
Through our research, we found remnants of what we might assume to be previous space stations or mission control centers on Earth. One of them would be Pumapunku. It's very clear that obviously, to me at least, and some of the researchers, appears to have been some type of a mission control center. It was built like a fort, very close to the pyramids of Chichen Itza. There's actual holes in the ground. They call them wells, where they used to supposedly sacrifice women or girls to make it rain, because when the rain didn't come, they thought that would please the gods. Actually, when you look at these, they're actual, what they appear to be, holes carved out in the ground from rocket ships. I'm not saying that's what they are, but if you look at the structure of the geology and you look at the way that they're formed, they actually appear to be holes in the ground from a rocket, like missile silos. Whether they were rockets that went to space or whether they were missile silos that launched rockets, we're not exactly sure, but they really appear to be something that used to house technology.
Yeah, pretty neat, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
So they don't squish in the ground and go sideways or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this one. This one too. I like. This video is kind of just talking about a UFO base off the coast of California.
Do you remember the rumors of an underwater alien base being located just off the California coast near Malibu? And what was crazy is that you could even find it for yourself by checking out Google Maps. But you can't anymore, because that area has apparently been scrubbed. But of course, pictures of this structure still exist on the internet. And thanks to Ripley Cooks, we even have recent video of this anomaly. Whether it's a massive underwater alien base or just a really strange underwater geographical structure is unknown. But what is known is that it's 2,000 feet underwater and approximately 3 miles wide. And it appeared to have an array of columns that were supporting a giant dome. But now it's just a big blurry mess. And the changes of this area on Google Maps comes within days of Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet publishing his white paper titled Beneath the Surface. We may learn more about UAP by looking in the ocean. A paper in which he states that 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, but only 25% of the seabed has been mapped to modern standards. And only 5% of the total volume of the world's ocean has been explored. So we know more about the surface of Mars and the Moon than we do about our own ocean. And if we begin to explore our oceans in hopes of finding more evidence of UAPs, or in this case USOs, unidentified submerged objects, a byproduct of that effort is that we would learn a lot more about our planet and be better off because of it. And as a nation, it would potentially close any domain awareness gaps we have in the water. And that's why I think we should definitely be paying more attention to the underwater aspect of the phenomenon.
I don't know. There's a lot of scary stuff out there in the ocean.
Ocean's a vast area, man. It'd be easy to hide anything huge out there. Yeah, I think I looked at that a long time ago, and then they scrubbed it. They went in there and they redacted it. Like, there's stuff you can see on Google Earth, and you go look a couple years later, and it's all blacked out.
You ever hear any chatters or talks about that, Leslie? Anything about bases or anything out in the oceans, anything like that?
Not in the ocean.
Huh?
Not in the oceans, no. I watched this documentary a while ago about a place called Nightmare Hall. Have you ever heard of that?
Nightmare Hall?
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
It's supposedly some base that's inside of a base. Like it's like an alien base that's inside a human base, military base where they let aliens do experiments of their choosing, like as long as they just do them on, American soil, so that they're not too bad or whatever. And they call it Nightmare Hall because it's pretty bad. Like it's pretty bad anyway. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was on some documentary I watched not too long ago. It was kind of scary. Who knows if that's true or not? Might be some conspiracy.
I don't really put anything past our government, so. All right. So looks like this time let's bring Nikki on. All right, we'll do the introduction and we will get her going in here as well.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are you?
I'm having a time with my entities tonight. Using the
Yeah?
camera. They're getting very aggravated when I try to turn my camera on. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
I'm having the same problem. I'm on my backup camera right now.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's like how my day goes is up to them, and they've been torturing me for quite some time, like with me knowing it. It's horrible.
Wow.
How long has it been going on, Nikki? I know I've been following you on I think TikTok there for a while. I've been following you. It seems like since last year.
Yeah, I've tracked it back to when I was a child.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I talked to my mom and she said she played on a Ouija board at 9. So I don't really know. I feel like they've been there all along though, since I was little.
Yeah, we dealt with a case like that here a while back, and uh, it was almost like we thought she had an attachment, but it was actually another family member had an attachment, and the other family member was actually controlling these things and having them, mess with her. And once she got the family member away from her, general environment, that seemed to help. But we still had to bring in clergy on that one, and it wasn't a sage and Palo Santos kind of thing. It was more like holy water, holy oil, a lot of praying, um, and but she'd been dealing with that since she was very young too. I think maybe 12.
Yeah, that's how old I was when I had my Ouija board experience. But something happened in 2021. I don't know what. I know that I had came out of a lot of traumas and they just started talking to me. I had already experienced full-fledged possession. And I was becoming aware of it in 2021. And I was like, still trying to wrap my mind around it. And they started telling me, like, daily, all of the things that they had done. And it was sounding like a generational curse because they were talking about, you know, family members. And I had some pretty serious stuff happen. Like I said, they were just living a whole life through me. And I was like, could it be an earthbound spirit, like a human spirit wanting to live? I didn't know what to think, but it's been pretty scary and confusing because I've had different experiences. I've even had an experience with the Church of Scientology, and I found a synchronicity with my grandmother's maiden name and the founder of Scientology. So, yeah, I don't know.
L. Ron Hubbard. The thing with the Ouija board, you can play with it when you're a little kid, and I've heard of this happening. You play with it when you're a kid, and then like 15, 20 years later, something that you woke up, opened a portal or opened up, a interdimensional relationship with something, and 20 years later, it can just start attacking.
Well, here's the deal with that. So in those situations and stuff, we of course live in time and space, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in any kind of any kind of realm with any kind of demonic entities or anything like that, there is no time, right? They don't live in time. So what they teach you is the steps for all of it is once that doorway is open, then it's not just like this full on blown attack, like you see it in movies and stuff like that. And in the movies, it's going to be faster, it's going to be fast paced. But the reality is how it really all works and how it really all runs is they wait, they dormant, it's there with you, but they're going to wait for times it's going to be like great tragedy for you. It's going to slowly beat you down and eat you, you know, eat away at you constantly until it has that ability to come and take over. Like especially you talk about possession and stuff. So you got the 4 steps of possession. So it's all steps that they go through to make that things happen. So that's why it would be multiple years later or different times later, and it's going to wait until you're at a pretty low point, or something's happened to you to where it can get that control and keep that control. And it's like it just wants to sit and just psychologically mess with you a long time to beat you down.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that explains it. And that's what it's been doing. And my tragedies have like happened all throughout the years. I've lost animals, which stuff happens. But I've lost family members, people that were close to me. My son's father died when I was 21. You know, there's been a lot of grief throughout the years, and that's exactly what it felt like. I was at my lowest point, I felt like, in my life, and I started hearing them. I'm confused because I'm like, now, like, alien spirits are coming up, and I'm just like, because they seem so demonic to
What
me.
you're describing, I've heard before. I've felt this way too with this generational cursing thing. Like I have felt that, like, with my particular situation, I don't have my family's support of me, a lot of what I do, and they just don't really agree with a lot of what I do, and so like I have a lot of jealousy, and I hear about it in the paranormal activity that I hear from, like jealousy, and they try, like I can hear my two parents try to stop me from doing that. Like I can, they just and I can hear that too from other guys, like about generational curse and stuff. Like that, I think in alien group, and I've seen it. I've seen some things like this in an abduction too. Like I've seen, like that they do these things in layers, like in abduction. I don't even know exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Just that I've seen it. Just that I've seen it.
Well,
Yeah.
how it works from that, like the spiritual attack and stuff. So, like I was saying, you have your 4 steps, right? So your first step would be it's what's called infestation. And that's where what a lot of people like to call kind of the haunted house effect. Okay? Footsteps, noises in the house, stuff moving, different things like that. Okay? That's going to be kind of the first steps of what's going on. The second one's going to be kind of like your oppression. Okay? So step 2 is oppression. And that's where things get more physical. You'll start experiencing physical attacks on you, scratches, the claw marks. Start seeing things like in the numbers of threes and all that good stuff. Third step would be obsession, which is, I mean, it's pretty much as the name applies, right? It's that overall obsession that's going to become being constantly tormented and stuff with thoughts, redundancy, different things like that. And it's all just psychologically eating at you and breaking down your soul. And then, of course, your last phase, which is your step 4, which would be your possession. And that's full on possession. And these things can be inside you, and then they could be running inside you and stuff. And you still have control. You're still doing your day to day and stuff. Maybe it just comes out in spots or times or, instant anger, instant thoughts and stuff that, come through and stuff like that. And that's going through those steps in there. And then, unfortunately, once it is your step 4 and stuff like that, that's where, you'd really kind of need help in that situation.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm still experiencing that, like exactly what you said, except for I feel totally restrained, at least mostly, even if it's just my legs and my arms. And I'll try to get it out to people. It's like you have the thought in your brain, I want to go outside, but you can't make your body do it because some spirit is blocking you from making that happen, you know? But I've found a home video from 2012, and at that time I had no clue what was going on. Like, and I found a disembodied voice on the video that I still hear to this day. It's a woman.
Is it
And
like a
because
video? Is it a video of you or something you were doing?
no, it was a video where like I was just videoing my son and he was dancing to music. And you could hear the disembodied voice. Like first I heard my laugh altered. It was weird. I knew that it wasn't me laughing like that, but it sounded like me. It wasn't enough for you to be like, what is that? And then you could hear her laughing and she said my name. So
the stuff that you're hearing, does it ever reveal its name to you?
I mean, I have heard names like Lilith. I've heard names like Leviathan. Recently, a lot of alien stuff has came up. So I never know when to believe it or not believe it, though. One calls itself Now, and some paranormal investigators have met Now. He attacked one of them pretty bad.
So you've had people kind of like paranormal groups or anything, people in fields and stuff like that, kind of meet with you and talk with you and stuff. And
Yeah, I was on Paranormal Nightmare. The name of their episode is There Really a Demon Here? And then I had a group.
Which episode was it, in case anybody wants to check that out?
Yeah, Is There Really a Demon Here?
Okay.
So there's an investigation on Facebook by Pitt Paranormal, and they're out of Huntington, West Virginia, and they also came out and they really experienced some heavy stuff. So they actually had an investigator who had to be put out of work for like 6 weeks because he left with an attachment. He was acting very strange before he left, and then he reported not being able to control his emotions. So, but yeah, I'm just at this place, guys, where I really don't know what to do, and I've been through a lot. I've met with clergy, I've met with exorcists from the Roman Catholic Church, I've met with some exorcists who've even been on the Discovery Channel, and nothing seems to be getting rid of the entities. They've calmed down a lot over the last like 2-3 days, but calming down is still me experiencing possession, or I don't know what you guys call it. I just know I can't control myself, or they speak through me. So
I call it medium. I call it being a medium. Like how they can just come and talk through you, like
like channeling.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've heard of people doing that, but this is all day. They're controlling my whole life.
Right. There's a difference. There is some difference between what's really known as possession, or what's thought of as possession, and what's being a medium. Because like I wouldn't, the only reason that I'm ever bothered by what anybody does to me is because I don't know who's doing it, or someone's doing it that I don't want to be doing it. Like I like what they're doing to me. Like I like they're not hurting me really. Even when they were scared, even when I was scared of them, they weren't really hurting me per se. They were trying to do stuff to me that I didn't really know what they were doing, and I didn't really want them necessarily to do it. But they weren't necessarily hurting me. They were do stuff.
Yeah, but we're on the page though. Nikki kind of wants done with this. She don't.
She's
right.
Yeah. Hers. So, do they hurt you physically?
They hurt me bad. I don't have control over myself. I have entities talking through my vocal cords most of the day. Yeah. It's like living in a horrible hell.
Yeah, that's like a medium type.
I've been following her for a while, and like her face will contort. It'll like make part of her face look paralyzed, and then she'll start cussing up a storm, and then later on she apologizes. She's like, I don't normally talk like this, and it's just, and I've watched her long enough, and when it happens, it's like that's not how she normally talks, and it's just like these weird sporadic things happen, and it's pretty bizarre. Does it tie geographically to where you live now, or does this wherever you go this happens? Like if you go somewhere else and a team shows up at you're at McDonald's and they go and investigate McDonald's and you're there, then somebody will get attacked. Or if you're at home, they get attacked. Or does it just happen
They
at work?
they are following me everywhere since I've been little. I've had feelings, and I would be able to tell people things, and I always looked at it as things were so obvious to me that I've realized that other people didn't see it that way, you know. But it's everywhere that I go, and I've moved pretty long way away from West Virginia this time. And when I got here, I knew something was going to be, I knew I was picking up on things in the area. I knew that right off the bat. I saw my neighbor. I was like, she has an attachment. I didn't even talk to her. I was mad. I came in. I was like, this place is haunted. I was mad. So the girl comes to see me, the one that I saw, and I said she had an attachment, and she told me basically that she had an attachment since she was a little girl. I think that whatever it is just following me, and I think it's either revealing things to me because it knows that it tortures me to think that somebody else is going through this, or maybe I am just sensitive to picking up on people who have these dark things now because of what I went through. I'm not sure.
And you said and stuff too. You've like talked to, you've went the church aspect and stuff, and talked to clergies and stuff.
Yeah, I talked to a demonologist named Adam Blah. He has a book on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And he right away said that he believed that I had evil spirits. Like he didn't even question it. He was like, I want you to come to a church. I went to the church. The entities were very upset. I felt so overwhelmed and just scared. I didn't want to go. They forced me to go, as crazy as that sounds. And when I got in the church, there were like three people there. And I knew, I was like, that's probably an exorcist and a bishop. And that's what it was. They had a piece of Jesus's cross, and they done like what they wanted to do. They really provoked it. And I had like two meetings with them, and things started just going haywire. The entities asked me if he wanted to go to prison, referring to Adam. And then something happened with my 20-year-old. And I mean, it was just a really horrible time. It got so bad, I had to go to the hospital. I had to go to a crisis center. I mean, I've had people from the psych hospital come to my house and look at my videos and tell me like you need a spiritualist, and I'm like, tried, I don't know what to do. So it's like I'm just all alone because they've already isolated me and broken all of my relationships.
Phil, got a question or anything?
No, I'm just thinking, uh, if it's everywhere she goes, it's and whatever she may have been messing with a Ouija board when she was a kid, so maybe something could come out of a portal or whatever, and it's attached. I'm thinking the only way to get rid of that is, I mean, if you could find out what his name is, would help. But she'd give us several names. She may be dealing with. It doesn't sound like she's dealing with one entity. It sounds like multiple entities. And do they have different voices, Nikki?
Yeah, I think they have me surrounded because, like, if I try to get help, and I'm talking about, I will tell them I'm being tortured and literally be tortured. I've even had marks on me before. I've had bruises all over me. The entities will appear in the people that I'm talking to, as crazy as that sounds, and they'll tell me
No, like
no.
so you see, if you're talking to somebody, you'll see them.
No, I can call the police, and I'll give you an example. I can call the police and tell them that someone is stalking me outside. I've literally had somebody walk to my door and tell me they had been watching me, and the entities laugh in my ears, and then I called the police and they just ignored me. And then I would hang up, and the entities would laugh at me and tell me that they were not going to allow me to get help, that it wasn't going to do any good, that they could do whatever they wanted to do to me.
So pretty much though, on the day to day, I mean, you're hearing things and you're definitely seeing things day to day, just in outside world, just normal day to day.
I rarely ever see anything. It's mostly hearing things, but that's mostly when I'm isolated, which I mostly stay isolated. If I go get on the subway and there's people all around me, I don't hear anything. But I can feel the heaviness of the entities. They're still there. And they will force me to come back into isolation. And they will block me from getting out of that isolation. And that's been a cycle that's been repeating since I found out that they were there.
So it sounds like they always say safety in numbers. Maybe the being around other people's energy is helping block it, or they're absorbing their energy instead of yours. If they get you all to yourself, then they're just constantly drawing on your energy. So it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm in a place where I'm literally like, I can't even keep up with regular things. I can't work, and I feel so tired all the time. But the issue is when I go out in public and I try to stay around people, they will draw me back to isolation. It's not that I see them bothering people for the most part. That's only when I try to get help. Like if I contact somebody to help me, to where I could even like leave the house for a couple of days or something. You know what I'm saying? Like if I try to go to a shelter or something like that, they flip out. The entities do. They'll start attacking me. They'll start breaking my chargers. I mean, they've ripped phones off of the walls, all kinds of stuff because I'll mount my phone to record.
It sounds like a little poltergeist activity going on too there.
Oh, for sure. You know, I don't know if you guys know, but I also have family who's experiencing this stuff too. Like my grandmother's house is really a bad place to be. I'm not the only one who noticed it. My brother stopped coming inside the house because the energy was so bad.
When
just things going on in the house, or
Yeah, my uncle reported something choking him, but he couldn't see anything. And I have heard second voices coming out of my mother. She's been odd for quite some time. Like I noticed a change in her and I was concerned from what I could remember. But throughout this process, I've either had no awareness, I felt like a passenger, or I felt like that there were moments, especially distressful ones, where I was able to react as myself.
you ever had a paranormal group or anybody in there to look at the house or try to get any kind of sense of what's going on in there? Or
No. I had one lined up. It didn't work out. My grandmother passed, and I've been trying to ever since get my mother to sell the house and leave it. They refuse. And I'm telling you, I have called and entities have spoken to me through them. And as you can imagine, I'm sitting there like, what am I supposed to do? I can't even get help for myself, you know? But the last that I talked to my mom in one of the last conversations, she said that a neighbor had also reported things happening in their home on the same street.
When you were playing with the Ouija board when you were a kid, what is that location still around, or?
Yes, that house is on the same street as my grandmother's home.
so I don't. If you can remember, or if you want to share, you don't have to share if you don't want to. When you were kind of playing with this stuff, what kind of stuff was you getting back on it, or?
You know, I don't really have a lot of memories about any communications. The only thing that stood out in my mind was a suitcase slamming after Amanda invited me and Jennifer to the board, and we started messing with the marker. I can remember that suitcase slamming, and I just ran out of the room.
So you kind of played it with a few friends and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you talked to them since? Have they had anything?
Yeah, Amanda told me that she had experienced levitation, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" She was like, "No." She said that she was experiencing a lot of stuff, and Amanda's had a lot of negativity in her life. You know, other than the Ouija board, we used to play light as a feather, stiff as a board. You know, we used to watch The Craft. We would play that game. We were just kids. But I can remember. Go ahead.
Oh, do you know what happened to that Ouija board by chance?
I don't know. I can try to ask Amanda.
It was hers.
I don't know if it was hers or if it was one of her friends. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that it was hers.
Because I've heard of all kind of weird stuff happening with those, and I know he's not Roman Catholic. He's the old original Catholic up in Louisville. Bishop Long. He requests if you having any kind of problem like that, send the Ouija board to him, and he's got a whole process. He disposes of them, and he said he gets every once in a while people send him one, and he takes care of it. I've heard of people throwing them away and find the thing
come back.
Yeah, come back, and I've heard people saying they had to burn it to get everything to stop. So maybe everything that's going on is tied back to that original Ouija board. But if she don't know what happened to it and it's gone, then have to try to find another way. It sounds like you've got these things pretty much embedded, with you all the time, and so far nothing's worked that you've tried to get rid of these things. And
Yeah. And, I'm glad that you noticed these things morphing my face because I've noticed it and I freak out because I'm like, is anybody else seeing this? Like
yeah,
it's a really scary thing,
and I've seen
Um
some of the comments people put on there pretty shitty. Just stuff people say. They're not very understanding, but they don't understand the paranormal. They're just thinking, oh, this is a bunch of BS, whatever. But when it's happening to you, it's very real. And we deal with a lot of people. Their houses, they have stuff going on, and we try to give everybody mutual respect. We don't make fun of people. We don't judge people. Sometimes I'll go to a house and they're saying, there's something scratching on my wall, and I go outside and it's the air conditioner blowing a tree on the house or something. Even when I completely debunk it, I don't say, hey, I think it's something else or whatever. I give them the respect and try to listen to every little detail because there may be something that I missed, and we try to help people. But one thing we try to do, we a lot of people, people tell them they're crazy or whatever, but a lot of times they're not crazy. They're really experiencing something, and it's very real to them. And we try to treat every case the same. We deal with all kinds of different stuff. Sometimes we find out it's not the case, but uh, that's why we try to have a that's why we do this show, to try to have an outlet, raise awareness of all the stuff that's going on out there. And we cover a lot of topics that other podcasts won't cover. And like that's why we had Leslie on, because she deals with this stuff almost every day. It doesn't sound like it's the same. It's similar, but not the same kind of stuff you're dealing with. But
Yeah. Well, there's so much that's went on throughout my lifetime, finding out that I was born in the haunted hospital in Mingo County on Old College Hill, which I'm sure is haunted. But I've also had somebody curse me. Like I have the curse. I don't know if you saw that in one of my streams where I talked about that.
I might have missed that one.
No, tell us about that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I curse me. It's really awful and hard for me to talk about, but I don't know exactly what he done to me, but just to be general about it, um, he ended up cursing me when I parted ways with him. And I have that curse, which was just like wishing nothing but bad on me, and that he used an article of my clothing and a piece of my hair. And he had already spoken about voodoo. So I don't know what he did, but it doesn't explain everything because paranormal activity, went back to when I was on that Ouija board. So
So you got a whole complex thing going on. So you're born in a haunted hospital. Uh, you're playing with a Ouija board. You had a ex relationship with somebody who just obviously just couldn't part ways and be respectful and did some kind of Southern Louisiana voodoo stuff on you. And then the neighborhood you grew up in sounds like the whole neighborhood may be on some type of ground that, maybe that was an Indian burial ground. Maybe there was a cemetery there. Maybe there was a battle took place there and they built houses over it. I mean, we've ran into stuff like that. I went to a house where they had Indian mounds behind the house, and we had two investigators get scratched that night. And we heard on one of our piece of equipment, we heard a female voice, and it was chanting like in native language, and so it almost sounds like everything you've dealt with your whole life, all these different things could affect, you've got some paranormal sludge attached to you from all these, where you were born and where you grew up, and the Ouija board, and you got the curse on there. So this is not going to be a simple, one and done. We're just dealing with one thing. This is a complex thing you're dealing with, and it sounds like multiple entities, and we don't even know what we're dealing with. If they're demonic, if they're just a bad human spirit, if it's something extraterrestrial, or all the above.
yeah, it's pretty bad. And of course, like I found out that I'm related to the Hatfields and McCoys, you know, which to me made it an even more complex thing because, I mean, they're known like to have had spiritual issues, you know? So, yeah, I think that I've had entities for a very long time and so have my ancestors, just to be honest.
What do you think there, Leslie?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely since you've seen your own mom and grandmother involved too, and you've got all these other coincidences, definitely it could have to do with your family.
Yeah, I had a neighbor too when I was 18. She was being attacked, she said, and that's when someone saw a shadow person over my son's crib. And a kid told us about that. She was like, there's a ghost in there or something. And we were like, what? And she told us it was like a shadow figure. And I had my house blessed. But yeah, I mean, there's been so many supernatural things go on between me meeting a guy who was into astral projection, and I started thinking that maybe there was some type of entity that was just like following me, manifesting, coming to me in human form to try to
Yeah.
interact with me.
Well,
I don't know. There's just so many parts to it. I have no clue.
When you were talking about, you heard your voice back on an old video, and it was like wasn't quite your voice. There's things out there can mimic. They can mimic your voice. Um, the one thing I was going to ask: have you ever tried or dealt with a Reiki practitioner, or had any Reiki done on you, or any type of a fire cleansing?
I had some Reiki done. Chris done the Reiki from Pitt, and Chris was attacked horribly. Whatever he did to my ear helped me, though. It really did. I don't know about the second part. I've had like a house exorcism. I've had exorcists do exorcisms on me personally, and I mean, I've had some really disastrous situations from some pretty well known exorcists that just didn't make any sense. I thought they left my house with an attachment. That was the only explanation to what was happening. I've literally had them come and do an exorcism in my house and then turn around and say that I was crazy on Facebook, you know, and the whole time I'm being attacked even worse because of the exorcism that was performed, to where they were turning me over in my house and doing things like that. It was crazy. So it's just, it scared me because I didn't think that they could do that to a holy person, you know?
Yeah, they get attacked more than anybody because the who they are. They're closer to Christianity. So a non-believer will walk into a house and usually nothing happens. A Christian or somebody who goes to church every Sunday is very religious. They're the first one to get attacked usually. I was looking at
Yeah,
some of the comments. There's some there's some Native Americans chiming in here that they would like to meet her, maybe help her. There's some I was trying to see, there was another person here. Some experts. There's two or three different experts that they're trying to get a hold of, and which is what one thing we want to accomplish out of all this is try to raise awareness. And I know you do a lot of stuff on TikTok, but on our we talk and deal with a lot of other paranormal groups and clergy and people who deal with this kind of stuff all the time. Plus, we're streaming on several different platforms, and we want to try to raise awareness, see if we can get some more ideas, to try to help you get some relief on this thing.
Yeah, they have done a lot to my life, already. It's pretty hard. It's gonna be pretty hard if they let go too, you know. They've already
Yeah,
accomplished a
are
lot.
you so are you religious or
No, I'm no longer religious. I have absolutely gotten rid of anything that was religious, and I've let these things know, like, hey, I rebuke it. I don't want anything else to do with it. Hopefully, you leave with it, because they drove me crazy over being religious. I used to identify as a Christian, and I would go to church and stuff like that.
Well, it sounds like we got to dissect this problem, try to figure out what's going on for sure, so then we can try to get you the right people. We don't want to send somebody in there trying to shoot a rhinoceros with a BB gun, which is what Sage does if it's something really powerful. Uh, and if you're dealing with something Native American, you need a shaman. If you're dealing with something else, you may need a Catholic priest, or we've got another gentleman that we deal with who's been doing this for over 40 years, and he does more of the deliverance type ministry. And there's a lot of different ways. I think part of the issue is understanding the whole complexity of what's going on with you. Then we can kind of put a plan together. It's kind of hard to, everything that's been tried is stuff that a lot of people's tried, and they're throwing stuff against the wall and nothing's sticking. So
Yeah. Well, something to tell you, I heard that my mother's old place was the side of an Indian burial ground. I haven't been able to confirm it. And then my uncle seems to think that my grandmother's house was built over a cemetery.
any thoughts,
what
Leslie?
what state? What state is it in? I don't want to try to get none of your information out there or anything like that.
Oh, I'm fine with giving you that information because they're not safe. There's entities there now. The house is in Forest Hills, Kentucky, my grandmother's house. And she would be like, as soon as you drive up in the new houses that, well, they're not new anymore, but it's the newest houses, like, um, they built this little, like, complex thing. And there's a bunch of houses that were built, like, in the 90s there.
Yeah, we're in Kentucky. We're based out of Bowling Green, and Leslie's over by Greenville, and we got another full Reiki master over in Paducah, and so we try to be well rounded to deal with any situation. Um,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's one thing we never do is share anybody's private information unless they actually want to. Especially if we investigate someone's home, we try not. And
oh yeah.
we've done some investigations where the whole thing's completely private, just because they don't want anything getting out because the nature of what they're dealing with, and we respect that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just concerned because see, I've tried to have the situation dealt with privately, and I've had entities like terrorize me and like block that from happening. It's just really scary and horrible because I don't know how much pain and suffering that they're in, but I know my mom definitely, is being attacked.
like like Vinny was saying, these things wait till the perfect opportunity, and you don't want to let your guard down. I've got a gentleman I know that he's been doing demonology, exorcism work for a long time. He went to a house. He cleansed. He felt like he cleansed the house, cleansed the person. Didn't cleanse himself. He he made a mistake, and when he got home, something attacked him after he got home, and so he didn't go back out for a long time after that. But and he had to do the whole ceremony again out himself in his own house. So um, with dealing with these kind of things, you can't let your guard down at all because they're like Vinny said, they're always looking for an opportunity. So um, we go in dealing with something like this. Everybody has to. You got to cross all your T's and dot your I's and prepare, do all your protection prayers and everything because you let your guard down for 1 second, these things will find an opening.
Oh yeah, they have really gave me. I mean, they've put me through it. I'll just tell you, it's been wild the things that have happened when I've been trying to get help. And I know it's the entities, you know, I know that, but it's still hard.
Any advice for her, Leslie?
I think that you need to call on somebody bigger and better. Like you're gonna have to get the attention of somebody bigger and better than what you've got the attention of right now. Like whoever's doing this to you, I do think it is like an alien group possibly, perhaps, or perhaps demons, perhaps. I'm not sure. I wish that we could see them better because I do see, some stuff too. Like when I hear it, I can see stuff too, but I just can't see it as if it were just a person standing there with me, like it's just how a medium sees stuff. It's kind of like a picture. It's it's a paranormal entity. Even when they're a paranormal entity in your house, they're still not a human. They're still not the same as a human standing there with you. They haven't been in my experience. I've seen a few. I've seen a couple aliens that would be, they won't get real close to me as if they're afraid of me because I'm not any longer afraid of them, and I'm encouraging them to come to me because I'm not, afraid of them anymore. But you're trying to get rid of them. I think you need to call on something like the archangels, like Michael, somebody that is willing to fight something, that wishes you harm, that obviously wishes you harm. And he's like that's somebody that's known to fight. Michael, Jesus. People always told me when I was scared. People told me to call on Jesus. I'm sure people 100,000 probably told you that. So pray to Jesus. I'm sure you've done that, but like I feel like calling on the leaders that know these things. Like I've had Osiris, the that's one of the Egyptian gods, talk to me before. Thoth, the writer god, like calling on people like that are calling on people that are good, that are known to be good forces of good, and they might be willing to help you.
Okay. Yeah. I, where I'm at with the religious stuff, Leslie, I am just repulsed by it, and I'm tired of it. Like I was hurt so bad trying to pray, and to use Jesus to get rid of these things. Like I can't pray. I can say Jesus. I can't pray. They won't let me pray, but I wouldn't be genuine if I was praying anyway after what I went through and seen. But that's just where I'm at with religion.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we will leave it at that. We are out of time for this episode. I'm going to end stuff, though. We could still kind of talk for a second. If Nikki and if you guys got a second, we'll kind of talk a second kind of off air and stuff and just kind of go from there if you're good with that.
Yeah.
All right. Phil, go ahead, close her out, buddy.
We appreciate everybody tuning in, Nikki and Leslie, and we'll see you next Sunday. Everybody tune in next week. Come on.